Yeah.
Much later. What's up, everyone? Major Kill just dropped a vid, and this is the first time I've seen one of his vids right as it dropped. So I wanted to react to it so it's all nice and fresh and shiny for you guys. So let's do it.
Or let's get into it.
The element of time.
What'd you say, Kate?
I said, or let's get into it, as he says.
Oh, he got a haircut.
Yeah.
And he looks like he right there, he looks like he just saw someone like he looks like Caitlin, he handed his ice cream cone to someone. And
Yeah.
Literally, he handed the ice cream cone and they got it. We're just like
Yeah, he's like, come on.
Like
He's like
expression. You forgot to tell me to put my headphones on for the last reaction. Damn it, Caitlin.
I'm sorry.
See, that's another one on the list.
Oh my god.
That's another one.
I forgot, okay?
Sure. You forgot.
I forgot to tell you to put in your headphones.
Travel is a classic sci-fi trope. Entire settings, franchises, and plotlines have been developed and exploited over the simple component of moving forward through time. However, Warhammer once again dials things up to 11 and beyond. Not only is there time travel in the setting of 40k, but there is multiple methods using entirely different sciences, magics, and rules within the one setting. The way a Necron chronomancer works with time is incredibly different to how the masters of the warp would. Before we get started, do you remember in that workout?
I kind of like that shirt.
If HelloFresh was a chick, I'd marry her, and that I really wanted to work with them. Well, guess who just reached out to me? That's right. This video is sponsored by HelloFresh. Before I tell you what offer and other cool stuff you'll get by using my code, I want to say that I've been a genuine, full-paying customer of HelloFresh for over a year now. Like, each of these pages represents 2 meals that I've eaten. I've consumed so much of this stuff, and I attribute it to being one of the main reasons why I'm able to easily maintain my muscle mass, energy, and general health. It's great for bodybuilding due to its really high protein content meals, but it also has a great mix of veggies and fruits, so you'll be getting all your macro and micronutrients naturally. The meals are obscenely delicious. The recipe is easy to follow.
He said obscenely delicious.
I've actually learned
Not insanely, but obscenely.
Each meal is conveniently packaged in recyclable material, giving you only what ingredients you need, so thumbs up for the environment. If you don't like one or more of the pre-selected meals for the week, you can just swap them out for a different one, including lower carb or calorie meals. For example, when I was losing weight for a jiu-jitsu tournament, I swapped out the pastas and burgers for leaner, higher protein,
respect.
Now for the juicy bit.
Yeah.
My link and code below, cog majorkill16, you'll get 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts across 6 different meal boxes. Not to mention some cheeky free shipping. It's not often that I promote something.
Hey, Major Kill, if you see this, how much you lift, bro? You probably whoop my ass because I'm like total amateur at all the combat sports, but how much you lift though?
Life-changing, but hey, today's that day. Use the HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over each of the methods of time travel within 40k. We will detail how each method works, who can perform it, and how reliable it is. Let's get into it. It's important to note the difference between seeing the past and future and actually being able to travel it. Seems like everyone and their cat can see the flow of time. The Emperor, Eldrad, Magnus, some random Necron mathematicians. However, even Eisen got a solid glimpse of the past by accidentally linking his brain to a Chaos Titan. Seeing the past and future isn't cool. You aren't cool, Kairos, you fucking ugly ass bird. Traveling, on the other hand, is fucking dope. So how does one manage it? Well, the first and most obvious method is through the use of the warp. The warp is a fickle thing.
Damn, Kate, and here we are like scrubs doing it 1 second at a time. God, we're losers.
Darn it.
Need to step up our game.
That defies all rules of space-time and physics. It's reasonable to ships that travel within the warp to travel back or forward in time. Generally, it's quite minor, a day, maybe a week back or forward, but it can also be years, decades, centuries, or in some rare cases, thousands of years. It's also for the most part and can't really
Fucking allergies.
For example,
Yeah.
the Night Lord's Omnibus, the setting takes place around the 41st millennium. However, for the Night Lords, it's only been a few centuries since they fought at the Siege of Terra. The extended periods of time they'd spent within warp-infected areas, such as the Maelstrom and the Eye of Terror, had really messed with their time zone. Maybe that's why the forces of chaos always seem to be mad as hell. Jet-lagged all the time. It also so many Chaos characters barely seem to have aged or gotten incredibly bored for 10,000 years. For them, it's only been a handful of centuries. I mean, you'd think that Armin would have figured out how to reliably get into the Black Library if he had had 10,000 years to prepare for it. Out of all the warp spaghetti time travel, the majority of cases are people moving forward, not backwards in time. It's not entirely clear why this is the case, beyond the fact that if everyone was always going back in time, it would really fuck with the narrative.
Well, and not only that, basic concept of entropy, bro. The warp is chaos incarnate, so entropy always accelerates forward. So it makes way more sense that random events would throw you forward instead of backwards.
Yeah.
Just logical thinking, just
Plus,
saying.
I mean, calling it a warp and it being chaos just kind of gives you the idea. It's always wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. So.
Yep.
In old lore, there was an orc who accidentally traveled back in time, and he decided to kill his past self in order to get another copy of his favorite gun. There's no repercussions occurred. The orc just carried on with his life, now dual-wielding his signature weapon. Another example of lore that I believe is now not canon was when the word bearers went back in time, and they were the ones that actually scattered the baby Primarchs. So how reliable is time travel by use of the war? Not very, obviously. However, it can be done accurately by a few individuals. When Lorgar went on his pilgrimage to discover the nature of chaos, he was guided by a demon prince. This demon prince moved Lorgar forward and backward multiple times. He even met demon prince Magnus, despite Magnus being Lorgar at the time. The demon's time travel is accurate and reliable, so whilst it is possible to time travel using the warp, it's incredibly difficult and generally unreliable. As a rule of thumb, if the Emperor wouldn't or couldn't do it, then it's probably not a good idea to try. As I said, the use of the warp isn't the only way to time travel. There's a few much better ways to do it. In Warhammer, there's a bunch of random shit that just doesn't make it to the front pages. One of these things is a magic door that can teleport you to any time and place in the galaxy. Want to go see the Emperor's birth? No worries. Want to go see the end of the galaxy? No worries. Want to tell Ukraine not to give up their nuclear weapons at the Budapest Denuclearization Summit of 1994 so that it doesn't cost a fucking arm and a leg to fill up a car? No worries.
I love how every now and then, a little bit of his worldview just slips into the dialogue.
Yeah.
I love it.
It had an entire cult of people who dedicated their lives to circle jerking over it. The door literally had sentience, and it actually got a kick out of fucking with people. When Inquisitor Ravenor and his merry band of skilled individuals with shitty lives encountered
skilled individuals.
cultists using a magic key. It took them to various times and places in the future, with them even encountering the Tyranids centuries before the first official High Fleet would enter the Milky Way. The door also back in time hundreds of years, which caused a bit of an awkward situation when they were captured by the Imperium, as Ravenor wasn't technically born yet, hence wasn't an Inquisitor at the time, so they couldn't verify if he was talking shit or not. One of the guardsmen used from the future. Tragically, as this is Warhammer, when Ravenor looks back on the records of his capture, it shows that the guardsman that helped him was captured and executed for treason. Whilst the door does have its own sentience and even a sense of humor.
Yep, that's Yep. That's 40K.
For example, when Ravenor requested it taken to water so he can drink, it ended up dumping him in the middle of a rainy thunderstorm. It can, however, be bent to your will. A powerful enough psyker may force the door to take them wherever they want to go, whenever they want to go there. The door can also be used to create a portal directly to the wall, which is how Ravenor was able to defeat the Mother Chungus of all demons. You can also give the door precise instructions for the next people to visit. For example, if you wanted to lead someone to a trap, you could instruct the door that the next person to open it will be dropped off on a planet that is currently under attack by Dark Eldar raiders. All in all, the door is an incredibly powerful and reliable tool for time travel, as long as you're a powerful enough cipher to upgrade it properly. Speaking of Inquisitors, there was actually a sub-faction of the Inquisition dedicated entirely to the concept of time travel. The Ordo Chronos, as it was called, was formed to monitor the effects of time travel, how to perform it, and the consequences of it, among other things. But then one day they completely vanished. It hasn't said why they vanished.
Gee, I wonder why.
Even a drunken dick Frankston could put two and two together and assume they figured out time travel and then kind of fucked it up. This is further supported by the fact that the Order has re-emerged in the current setting, either being reformed or, more likely, popping out of their time machine. Whatever method they use for time travel is probably similar to how the Warp's time travel works, judging by the fact that they were gone for so long without leaving a note. Moving away from the magic-y time travel, we have the Necron chronomancers who time travel using science. Well, I mean, it's
nice.
It doesn't exist and it's basically magic, but fuck it, science.
He said, well, it's not actually science, but fuck it, science. Wobbly, whiny, timey, limey bullshit. That's how we do in 40K, motherfuckers.
Necron time travel. Necron chronomancers are a special type of Necron that are able to manipulate time backwards and forwards. Generally, they are limited to a small handful of short jumps before they have to recharge. However, Orican the Diviner has surpassed this and is granted basically unlimited time travel. He's also a bit of a narcissist, as most Necrons are. Hence, whenever his future predictions is proven wrong, he'll travel back in time to make sure it ends up being right. He's also very petty. Hence, when he was in a stealing from children, every time the court case wasn't panning out in his favor. The Necron time travel doesn't need to be nor could it be used as a teleporter or fast forward to their own life. It's also not limitless in power. When Orican got buried beneath
Oh man, that is such a funny concept to play with.
Yeah.
Like, listen, do you know how many times we've done this court case? They just look at you like, oh shit. We've done this court case 10,000 times. We're Necrons, and I'm a Time Lord. We got nothing but time here. So you might as well let me off.
What would be really funny is if they'd actually only done it the once.
He just made the bluff right out the gate to avoid having to actually do the legwork. That's the kind of bluff I would pull.
Yep.
Like, guys, do you have any idea how many times we've done this? This is 10,852 and a half.
Hours or even days and try and plot out a new path. In real time, it took him a couple centuries to escape, but for himself, it was 2,000 years of agonizing trial and error before he made it. If his time travel was limitless and over,
Hang on.
which was bad as he's written, it's also not limitless in power. When Orican got buried beneath the mountain of rubble, he had to claw his way out. Each time a Satan was about to crush and kill him, which was bad as his reanimation protocol wasn't online, he would quickly rewind time by a few minutes, hours, or even days and try and plot out a new path. In real time, it took him a couple centuries to escape, but for himself, it was 2,000 years of agonizing trial and error before he made it. If his time travel was limitless and overpowered, he would have just been able to rewind time before he got crushed. Now for a bit of an interesting case. As we know, the Dark Age of technology was mankind's peak, an era of technological innovation, invention, and frontier science, eventually brought to an end by a robotic uprising and a bunch of space elves having a go at blood. However, before it ended, a scientist from the Dark Age successfully time traveled to the future to see what awaited humanity. What awaited was the Imperium, which was very bad for him. The first planet he visited, he was burnt to death with heretic. His ship, however, was a fully functioning AI, a man of iron, from the dark age of technology. It was obscenely powerful and likely capable of beating nearly any ship in the galaxy. Its solo tore apart an Astartes fleet, and when it was boarded, it uploaded a virus through the Space Marine's armor, which left them in place. From there, it destroyed them one by one, whilst it tortured and killed the tech priest. Yeah, ship wasn't too happy about losing its pilot. From there, the ship left the galaxy behind. Just goes to show how ridiculously powerful humanity was during the dark age of technology. If one exploration ship was able to do so much damage, not to mention they built what seemed to be like a reliable time machine. From these examples, what seems to be the fundamental rules of time travel in 40K? The setting seems to try to avoid the butterfly effect, which I can't really blame them for. That would make everything way too fucky. It seems as if all travels to the future are always going to occur, hence the timeline accounted for them. The timeline also tries to accommodate all travels to the past, however sometimes it can't, such as when the author killed its past self. However, killing its past self did not seem to have much of a ripple effect. It almost seems as if it follows alongside the time travel rules of the MCU, except instead of timelines, it just tries its best to fit everything as neat as possible in the one timeline. That is where it tries to actively avoid delving into the topic, only using time travel sparingly to the lore, instead of trying to create a narrative based around a time heist. I, for one, appreciate this. 40 years of nothing is already confusing enough without the need for some X-Men tier time travel fuckery.
Right.
If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the
Man.
Oh, fuck yes.
Nice.
Catch a chan muscle, babes. I'm here for it.
Hit the subscribe button.
How do we celebrate International Women's Day? By looking at naked women's, obviously.
Duh.
Oh, fuck yeah, bro. All right, man. Yeah. Time travel with Major Kill. See, and this is that thing you mentioned about like the just as an example, just the thing you mentioned about the door. Like that's the kind of shit that made me want to start reading the novels, because I was like, what delicious details am I missing out on that the lore masters aren't talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're about to start reading these fucking novels.
Because we want all of the details. Especially the tiny ones.
Never gonna find a detail tinier than my dick, though.